Passion. What is passion? Passion is the seed from which commitment blossoms. Passion is an intense emotion, a compelling enthusiasm, or a very fond desire for something. Successful people win because they love what they do. All of them have a strong desire to succeed. They have passion for their field. Passion is the single fastest way to spur yourself to massive success. It is something you love, something you're excited about, something you get up early to work on or to stay up late. John Maxwell rightly said that if you want something badly enough, you will find the willpower to achieve it, and you won't stop trying until you do. You just need to make the commitment to find time and opportunities to get out there. Another example is Walt Disney. It is quite interesting to know that at the age of 22, Walt Disney was fired from a Missouri newspaper for not being creative enough. One of his early ventures, called Laugh-O-Gram Studios, went bankrupt. The creator of Mickey and Minnie Mouse went on to be nominated for 59 Academy Awards, winning 32, all for his unparalleled animations. Isn't that amazing? He still holds the record for the most Oscars won by an individual, according to WaltDisney.com. So, my dear friends, it is now time for you to unleash the passion about something within you. It's time to follow your dream and make the best out of it, just like Bill Gates and Walt Disney did. So, here I conclude my speech with a beautiful quote by Nelson Mandela, which says it all. There is no passion to be found playing small in settling for a life that is less than the one you are capable of living. Thank you.
Well done. First, I'd like to quote Mrs. Spencer, who said, "Your worst battle is with yourself, between what you know and what you feel." Guilt is a part of a battlefield that still goes unrecognized. At times, soldiers demand raw revenge, but they often wish a nobler justice system existed. A soldier who fought in the World War II feels guilty about having found the wallet of a dead enemy soldier which contained the photographs of his family members, just like the American soldier did. It is often seen that soldiers often also feel a kind of survival guilt, which is also known as the luck guilt. They feel guilty because they survived but their fellow companions couldn't. The phenomena of survival guilt is not new, however, the term relatively is. Being sent home while others are still on the front lines is another source of guilt. They are more likely to say, "If only I hadn't," or "if I could have." Then it is not my fault, or simply things like, "I did my best." We should emphasize on the importance of having a society that understands and appreciates the inner wars soldiers also fight. Soldiers, both men and women, often keep their deepest struggles in waging war themselves. But as a public, we too need to know how war feels. For war's residue should not just be a soldier's private burden. It ought to be something that we, who do not don the uniform, recognize and understand as well.
I'd like to start my speech by quoting Stephen Hawking. He said that humans would turn the planet into a giant ball of fire by the year 2600. In order to ensure the survival of our species, we need to do something like inhabit a planet, right? So history would split into two directions. One would be humans would stay on Earth forever and there would be some eventual extinction. On the other hand, we could become a space-going civilization and colonize a planet. So one of the stated goals of Elon Musk through his company SpaceX is to colonize Mars. He thinks he has the budget for doing it and thinks that he might as well succeed by 2030 or 2040. But sometimes people wonder, why only Mars? What about the other planets? Well, our options for becoming a multiplanetary species inside our solar system are limited. If we see Mercury, well, Mercury is really close to the sun. It is really hot and has a lot of temperature. Same with Venus, and it also has a lot of pressure, so we won't be able to survive there. Then we have our moon, but moon does not have an atmosphere. And one day on Earth, on moon is approximately 28 Earth days. So that's quite a long time for one day, and it's really cold, and it does not have as many resources as they are on Mars. And if we talk about Saturn or Jupiter or anything beyond that, that would be way too far out of our range. So Mars is our best option. It has quite a decent amount of resources. It is half as far as the Earth is from the Sun, so there is quite a lot of sunlight, and the atmosphere, which consists of mostly carbon dioxide, is quite comfortable. As if we were to compress the atmosphere a little bit, we might as well be able to grow some plants. So Mars is the best option for our survival.
Science is a threat to mankind. So when we speak of science, the first thing that comes into our mind is that it made our lives easier. But somewhere or another, I strongly believe that science is a threat to humanity. Our lives are in danger. Bombs are made to blast and guns are made to shoot millions and thousands of people. People are also rebelling against their own blood, and it's not fair, which is all done by the cruel advancement of science. Science has created such things that harm human nature, and even if medical science improves, viruses will be improved automatically. Nowadays, doctors are also getting cases of children suffering with cancer, obesity, and childhood depression. Children are also connected to social media through science, which allows people to do cyberbullying, leading children to commit suicide. In conclusion, I believe that science is threatening humanity. We harm ourselves, we harm environment to lead our end. And therefore, I believe science is the root of all evil and threatens humanity. Start.
Should voting age be reduced down to 10 years? Now I know what most of the people think when they hear the topic. They think that, why would we do that? Children do not know what's best for themselves, so what about our country? That's the exact same thought that popped into my mind when I heard the topic. But rather than going against the topic, I'd like to meet in the middle. Yes, voting age should be reduced, but not down to 10 years. I propose it should be reduced down to 16 years. If a person 16 years of age is allowed to join armed forces, then he should be given the right to vote. In UK, the 16-year-olds are supposed to pay taxes, so immaturity is not an excuse to deprive them of the right to vote. All voters have their reasons for voting. We may disagree with their reasons, but we must respect their right to make a decision. At this age, most of the 18-year-olds are transitioning to college and workforce. Their email inboxes are filled with reminders to select classes, meal plans, and housing. Most of them are trying to acquire jobs and money to pay their rent, so voting might not be a priority for them. If young voters don't turn up, it can mean that their issues and priorities will be ignored by the elected officials, and they would never establish a habit of voting that would carry on to their adulthood. Austria has lowered its voting age to 16 years of age. Even 7 of 16 states in Germany have also lowered their voting age. A region in Switzerland has also done the same. Now, some people would say that you only get to be young once, so they should not waste their kid years trying to worrying about politics and government. Well, if you only get to be young once, shouldn't you make the best of it? If you're living in a world where you're unhappy, shouldn't you get to change that?
Today I will be talking about teleportation, which is going to be the next big thing in technology. Now, here we are talking about quantum entanglement, which Einstein called a spooky action at a distance. In quantum entanglement, there are two particles which can be infinitely apart from each other, but these particles were created together and have the same spin. But when we measure the spin on one of these particles, the axis of the spin of the other particles also changes. Bohr said that we live in a kind of a peekaboo universe. Everything changes when we observe them. But Einstein denied and said that the particles could not change by us merely observing them. In this process, the original particle is not actually transferred from one place to another, but it is deleted from the first place and then reformed on the other. This raises many philosophical questions, as the person is not actually the same person but merely a copy. Scientists are working on teleportation, and the Chinese scientists even teleported a photo from Earth to space. After that, implications of teleportation are limitless. This would make the lives of people so easy, and they could travel at limitless speed and would make the long hours of travel short. We this way could travel many light years or even light centuries in a matter of seconds and find new and habitable planets. It would even introduce us to new concepts of physics and help our world progress by leaps and bounds.
Awesome.